Hello, this is Emily Rodriguez. Welcome to my very first post-lab reflection. For the first portion of this lab, I will be discussing the room that I have chosen to be my work area for the upcoming labs in this course, and I will be going through all of the precautions that are being taken for this work area. Now, I decided to use the master bathroom in our house for the area because I believe that these marble sinks would be ideal for working with chemicals or anything else that might come up. They are easily sanitized. We have 2 sinks located here for any sort of disposal or emergency, and also as a good water source. We have a trash can right there, paper towels, some vinyl gloves just in case. We also have a tub and shower area just in case of emergencies. Now, the lab kit itself will be contained in this closet, which is dry and clean and room temperature. That's also where the fire extinguisher is currently located, but for labs, I'll be taking it out just in case it's needed very quickly. So, as far as emergency exits are concerned, this is my secondary exit in case the primary exit is blocked or unavailable for any reason. However, I don't foresee a situation where it will be needed, but this window leads directly into the backyard. For the primary exit, I will be using this door right here into the master bedroom. So this will be the primary exit route in case of an emergency. Excuse the mess and the dog. Going into the living area. Reaching the front door. And then the muster area in case of evacuation procedures will be the front driveway right here. We have several smoke detectors throughout the house and close to the lab area, which are in fact currently being tested to make sure that they are operable and that the batteries are good to go. I initially planned to use the kitchen as my lab work area. However, it's very open and unable to be closed off, which leads right into my self-reflection portion. Having pets that like to be involved in every single thing that I do made me realize the importance of having a space to work in that can be enclosed and secured so that they don't get involved and get hurt. Thus, the importance of having the bathroom as opposed to the open kitchen space. It also made me consider what I would do in an emergency situation, just in general, having so many pets, and that led me to reflect on my own emergency preparedness plans and look into sources that would give me more information. Additionally, it caused me to consider things like fire extinguishers as well as the fire alarms in the house and how well those are working. Those, in addition to having a contingency plan where I had to look up important numbers like the poison control or the fire department number, were really important considerations for me. So now I can conclude the self-reflection portion of this lab video by taking a moment to consider how confident I feel now that I've conducted the preparations that have led up to the recording of the video. Looking at things like what would be the best work area, what safety precautions should I take, as well as building the contingency plan, have helped me to consider different safety precautions that maybe I hadn't been expecting, such as having an enclosed space and looking for numbers that I hadn't looked for before, such as poison control, as well as considering the safety of my animals in an emergency situation. It's due to these sorts of pre-lab preparations that I can say that I now feel much more confident in my ability to safely perform any lab procedures that may come up in the course. And now I have the confidence to know that while I perform them, my animals won't be in danger and I know exactly what to do in case of an emergency situation. Now turning to the experiment portion of this week's lab, I really wanted to focus on the persistence of an herbicidal chemical because the abundance of local state parks in my area has caused me to be interested in the health of their soils and waterways. For this reason, I've chosen the herbicidal chemical glyphosate since it is the most common herbicide used in the United States. My hypothesis is that the herbicidal chemical glyphosate will have a lower concentration in the soil of forested areas as opposed to near residential properties. Glyphosate is also commonly known as Roundup, and I believe it's of interest because its widespread use could lead to resistance in weeds unless further control strategies are implemented. Although it's considered to be a safe herbicide due to its quick activation rate, the impact of glyphosate on plant health in the long run is still being studied. Another reason why I believe that glyphosate is a good choice is because it tends to bind tightly to soil, so it persists in samples for up to 6 months, which is good for our purposes. My goal in this experiment is to test the concentration of glyphosate in areas outside of residential neighborhoods so I can compare the differences between the concentrations found outside in forested areas. I believe that the results of this experiment could lead to further questions about the concentration of herbicides in general. I have identified 4 independent variables in this experiment, which consist of 4 different soil samples. 2 of the samples would be residential from 2 different residential areas, and 2 would be samples from 2 different forested areas. These could be submitted to test for the concentration of glyphosate in each sample. The dependent variable in this experiment is quantitative, and it is the results of the testing showing the amount of herbicide glyphosate in each sample. Since glyphosate can break down in soils at different rates depending on soil conditions, these will be the constants within the experiment. Weather, season, and average temperatures will all be the constants so as to make sure that each soil sample has a rate of decomposition as closely related as possible. Finally, our control in the experiment would be a soil sample that has not been treated with the herbicide glyphosate and has reasonably been expected to have not been exposed to it via soil runoff or any other variables. And with that, my post-lab video is completed. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and please let me know if you have any follow-up questions.